So, welcome. And for everyone that maybe hasn't met me before, I'm the founder of Kiko Vitals. And I'm having this conversation with my very own mom today, which I'm so excited about. My mom is an Ayurvedic practitioner and herbalist, also known as our Kiko consultant, and has helped so many thousands of women and men over the years. So I'm really excited to dive into this, Mom, and maybe you can actually give a little bit of an intro about who you are.
Yes, sure. Thanks, Care. Thanks, Isa. Always nice to work with Kiko. So I'm Trish Taylor, and I've studied various modalities. I studied psychology at university. I then became a herbalist, and I then chose to study Ayurveda because it put together mind, body, soul, and heart into one healing modality. So basically, that is where I focus now as an Ayurvedic practitioner, although I often bring my other modalities in, like trauma, women's hormones, women's health, gut health, and everything else, and make it an all round healing process.
Amazing. So this is such an exciting talk because we've had so many questions from so many people around this chat. I think a lot of people don't really know what Ayurveda actually is, and that's probably a good place to start. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what Ayurveda is?
Sure. So Ayurveda goes back about 10,000 years. It originated in India. It is slowly spreading to the Western world, not really fast enough. It would be nice if it spread quicker. But basically, it focuses on preventing illness rather than curing it, although it does focus on cures for ailments and illnesses as well. But what we do is we generally look at a person's constitution, and that is what they are born with, their mind, bodies, and souls. And they are various, they could be Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, the doshas, or they can be a mix of them. And the aim of Ayurveda is not to have the three doshas in equal proportions. The aim is to get back to what we were born with so that our balances in our minds, bodies, and souls are always perfect. Because if that's good, our health should be good. And so we often in Ayurveda, this is where people get a little bit confused, is we often do the opposites to balance our bodies. So for example, someone that is Vata predominant feels the cold a lot. And so in Ayurveda, what we would do is we would bring in warming rituals to balance that so that the cold Vata doesn't get out of balance. And the same with someone with Kapha. Kapha's earth. So they can become very stagnant or depressed or put on weight easily. And then we would bring energizing rituals to them. And a Pitta, more predominantly Pitta person is fire. So you don't really want them around you when they're too fiery. So once
I
again,
know what you're
I
thinking.
think you know what I'm thinking. Yes.
Am
So we
I
need
pizza
to,
or pizza?
yeah, Kerri-Lee's definitely Pitta predominance. We need to keep that not in balance, in
Tired.
balance. And so there's lots of things that we can do to balance that with herbs, daily rituals, diet, exercise. Ayurveda is very, very closely related to yoga. In fact, in some disciplines, it actually forms part of the same discipline. So we use a lot of meditation and yoga as healing modalities as well.
I love that. And it's so nice to think about how it's so holistic in the way that it brings in nutrition as well as self-care and the ritualistic side of just creating these sort of habits, using herbs as remedies and aligning yourself, as you said. It's actually one of the taglines we want to bring into Kiko is more of that word of alignment. Because when you live in alignment with yourself, I think that is probably where you just feel your best, right?
Absolutely. You know, we underestimate our emotions and how healthy emotions are so important for a healthy body and vice
Absolutely.
versa. So we really have to look at all of those. We can't look at them as separate entities.
Yeah. So that's such a nice description. I think it explains it so beautifully. Could you maybe tell me a bit about what a day in the life looks like for you, or some of your go-to, or absolute go-to Ayurvedic rituals or practices or nutritional tips? Just as someone that is, I don't know if we actually mentioned, you're obviously a mom of four children, you're a grandmother of two, a third one coming. So, there's so many aspects that people can relate to in terms of just you as a human being. And how have you brought Ayurveda into your life? What are some of the things that you do?
Sure. So going back to when my children were younger, I always made a point of getting up at least half an hour to 1 hour before anyone in my family. And I know mothers don't like the idea of this because they're exhausted. But believe me, if you can start your day just making yourself a warm mug of ginger water, nourishing yourself, getting your elimination system going, and then do like a short meditation or even twisting's good in the mornings because you're actually detoxing your organs by twisting, or a little bit of breath work. And just getting in touch with yourself changes your entire day. So I would highly recommend having a mug of ginger water, even if you don't get up early, because a lot of moms don't want to do it. But I would challenge you to try if you are a mom. And it's amazing. It's a game changer. And then the first thing that I eat in the mornings, and I actually recommend that most people do this. I've done a lot of research on our livers, and toxics in the liver and how they affect our gut health and our hormones. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but the pectin in the apple, in the skin of the apple, actually heals our liver. And other fruits and vegetables don't harm it, but they don't actually heal it. So my go-to for everybody in general, I do have to watch sometimes diabetics, but just 90% of people, is begin your day with an apple with the skin on and eat it, not in a smoothie because you need the roughage to eliminate. You need that pectin, and it's a great way to start your day. And in winter, because I'm a cold person, I actually love to do stewed apples, or pears are also really good. So stewed apples or pears with a little bit of cinnamon is so nurturing, and it's a lovely breakfast. And then when I brush my teeth, I always tongue scrape. I have a separate tongue scraper in my travel bag because I literally have to scrape my tongue and clean it. And what you do, it's a round metal thing. And after you've brushed your teeth, you actually take it and you gently scrape your tongue. And I know this doesn't sound great, Kay, but what comes off there is horrific. And so that is all toxins that are sitting on our tongues. And if we
Obviously,
don't
as a
clean,
build-up over the night, right?
yes,
This is
build up
where most of
overnight.
the toxins come through as our glands in our.
Exactly. Because our bodies eliminate through our tongues, through our skin, through so many different organs. And so by cleaning your tongue, you're getting rid of that toxins. And also by cleaning your tongue, you can now digest all the food and get all the beautiful vitamins out of it. But if you have a layer of toxins on your tongue, you're going to lose a lot of goodness out of everything you eat. So I would highly recommend that. Once you start that, you're never going to be able to stop. I can almost guarantee it.
Do you know
Uh,
what's so funny is that you've been doing tongue scraping from as little as I can remember, and obviously it's something that we all incorporated into our life. It became very normal for us. The
yeah.
same way we would brush our teeth every morning and night was the same way that the tongue scraping ritual just became a very normal thing for us to do. And I've seen more recently that people are starting to actually do tongue scraping. But growing up, no one knew what on earth we were doing.
That's because we
I
were a
just didn't
crazy
know what that
family.
was.
We were a bit crazy, but they did work. They did work. And so, yes, Kare's right. I mean, when I bought my kids a toothbrush, I always gave them, always ensured that they had a tongue scraper as well. I must say, when they were younger, although I wasn't pro plastic ones, I did prefer it because it was more gentle on them. But as I got older, they could go onto metal tongue scrapers. And if you don't have one, you can actually use a teaspoon. You can actually use a teaspoon. You can even start that today. Everybody could start that
Okay.
today.
So you just flip the teaspoon
Yeah.
kind of on
Just
its head a bit, and you can just pull. You obviously
yeah.
want to pull from the back of your throat because that's
Yeah.
where the buildup of
Yeah.
the toxins happen overnight.
And then one of my favorite Ayurvedic routines is then Abhyanga before I shower. So Abhyanga is a self massage, and I use sesame oil because it's a neutral oil. So it doesn't uplift you or bring you down, but it's a great oil to really massage your body with. massage your joints, keep them moist and keep them oiled. It will prevent rheumatism and arthritis going forwards. But when you do your oil, also spend a long time, especially for women, on massaging your tummy because it gets your digestive system going. It calms your stomach. And by calming your stomach, you're also calming your uterus. You're calming all your internal organs. So I would definitely do that. Hips and lower back is a big thing for women. If I was preggy, because Kerri is preggy, I
All
would
the
limit
pretty tips.
all the preggy tips. I wouldn't do my tummy if I was pregnant. And I always love to give my feet and hands a really good massage. But for preggies, I would rather you just take the oil and you just rub the soles of your feet. So for preggies, it's really good for circulation in your legs. Your joints is good. I would just stay away from tummies and massaging your feet. Then you do that before you shower because what it does, it forms a coating over your body and it actually draws out the toxins. And our skin is our biggest organ. So if we can eliminate as much out of our skin as possible that we don't need or doesn't serve us, the better our day is because literally we're starting with a much cleaner bodily palette. So now we have a clean mouth palette and a clean body palette to begin our days.
Inside and outside.
Yeah. And then wait about 20 minutes and shower. What you can do is you can actually do that before you do your meditation. It's so warming. So you'll feel really warm and cozy with a nice blanket on in winter if you want to, or in summer, just as is with the oil on, and then have your shower. And after that, if you're going to wash your hair, do your head, and I always do my face. So
So
after
you do
that,
your hair oiling obviously before you wash, which is also really good for just scalp stimulation and hair growth.
so good for hair growth. And so many women of all ages are having hair loss and skin problems,
All
hormone related.
ages, especially in our community where obviously we manage and deal with so many women with hormonal imbalances, from PCOS to endometriosis or coming off the pill postpartum, as well as even during perimenopause and menopause. Quite a common symptom that a lot of women are dealing with is hair loss.
So imagine doing that in the mornings and just rubbing your
Hair,
scalp
the scalp,
alone.
scalp therapy is just so
Oh,
important.
it calms your nervous system. It encourages hair growth. It depletes hair loss, so you'll have a lot less hair loss if you massage your head, and it conditions your hair, which is always a big bonus. So you can wash your hair afterwards, but please use a natural shampoo and a natural conditioner. Don't use chemicals on your
So
hair.
chemicals would be things like looking out for sulfates
Yes,
and synthetic fragrances or synthetic flavors, which I
absolutely.
think is also such a good and important topic in terms of just taking care of your hormones and your gut because it strips your biome when you are using these topical lotions or shampoos or soaps that are um, so extreme in their ingredients and the chemicals just completely strip.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, Kay, you've learned well. Don't use chemicals.
I don't
And
think we've ever grown up with any. I think we either made most of our stuff at home.
a lot. Do you
I think
remember?
most of our detergents in the kitchen we made. We often made our own sort of like bathroom rituals, whether it's a type of soap or an oil. I mean, often oils we would just do like a carrier oil and then do some essential oils, but keep it quite light. Or even, so what I remember obviously growing up was something that I had was eczema. And I had it so badly on my joints and my elbows. And I would scratch literally until they would bleed. And I remember that you had gone through so many doctors trying to find out how can we put this at bay. And eventually, I mean, I was so young, I was probably about 5 or 6. Um, and I remember you eventually went and did the research and developed these protocols and came up with the solution. And you just took me out of the whole thing that I'd been going through, and you were like, no, we're going to try this route. And we went for evening of primrose oil. And I remember I would bite the capsule open and I would use that oil on my skin and I would ingest it. And I've never had an eczema breakout again. And obviously, I am 35 now, so that's 30 years. So, for
That's
someone that would
amazing.
typically be prone to eczema, um, just being able to use these natural remedies and oils that we would come up with and create for ourselves at home, actually really did treat it at the root cause. And
And I
we
think
found
also,
out that it was because I was eczema, and with all skin issues, it's not because you have a skin issue, it's because you generally have something going on inside. The skin is the symptom. So that is just showing you and telling you the message that something inside you're either lacking or have depleted, and you sometimes just need to substitute that, and that is the solution, treating it at the root cause.
absolutely. So evening of primrose, Kay, I'm so pleased you brought that up because that is such a brilliant, brilliant oil for women. It really balances women's hormones. Think of it, it's a flower. It's a womanly oil. It's so good for us. So for any skin condition, I agree, you can break open the tablets, use it on, but I would encourage most women to take evening of primrose. Also really good for our skin and our hair. But apart from that, balances our hormones. And just talking about that, the other oil for any woman that are a little bit older, menopausal or postmenopausal, I always recommend flaxseed oil. Really good for memory and just being mindful and alert. So
And you
flaxseed,
can ingest both
yeah.
omega oil as well as flaxseed oil. Sesame oil too, but I think sesame oil is such a nice carrier oil for the body.
And do you remember that at home we used to always have the oils in the bottles, so we'd put them on food at night. So you didn't actually
Yeah,
all the kids would just put a bit of oil, or in fact, the whole family would put some of those oils on the food. We'd have an evening of primrose
every
or
single
evening
meal, we
of,
would just
yeah,
drizzle
pour
it
it on.
over,
Yeah.
whether it's over the salad or whatever, even veggies, steamed veggies. It was delicious.
Yeah. So kids can start with that young. Oh, and what about ghee? Do people even know about ghee? That's so Ayurvedic. So ghee
That's
actually,
about it.
ghee is clarified butter. So it actually is all the bad fats have been taken out of the butter and all the good fats are left in it. And I'm so pleased you brought ghee up. Well, I brought it up, but thanks for reminding me, Care. Is that ghee moisturizes the inside of our bodies. So if we actually eat ghee with our steamed veggies, it is, first of all, absolutely divine. But secondly, it moistens your entire internal organs. It is so good for you. So please swap butter or margarine for ghee. You can get it at most places now. Or even better, you can get fresh farm butter and make your own.
So ghee is very Ayurvedic because I know in the Ayurvedic practice you use it in various ways, not just ingesting, but it is, um, yeah, I mean, it's really known for just also pulling out toxins and elimination. There's so many benefits to
And
it.
also, remember, I used to make little nose drops with ghee. If you have the cold,
Yes.
then I put ghee in your noses to moisten the inside of your nasal passages.
And ears, would we do ghee in ears, or was it
And
more
we
the
use the
oil?
trameal drops in ears, which
Okay.
I just loved. Yeah, we always use trameal drops in
I still
ears.
always have a bottle of Traumeel drops.
Always, me
My
too.
go-to.
I
So
mean,
maybe actually that's a really good thing to maybe cover, considering we are in winter. What are some of the immune boosting herbals or natural remedies that you would suggest
so
from the Ayurvedic
I spoiled
way?
my kids because as soon as winter started coming up in my humidifier, I had a humidifier 24/7 in our TV room during winter because obviously there were heaters or fires on. And my kids got a foot massage from me every single night close to the beginning of winter with a drop of tea tree
Lucky
oil
us.
in it. And because tea tree oil is obviously just the best natural antibiotic you can get. And I've got 4 adult children now, as you know, and they still sometimes ask me for massages. And they're the only 4 pairs of feet I can touch.
Wouldn't touch another
No, I
foot.
wouldn't touch another foot.
Or your
And
grandchildren,
my grandchildren, sorry,
of
yes.
course. Little
Yeah,
foot
but
massages. That's
tea tree
cute.
oil, foot massages, tea tree oil in your humidifier. I've always had a humidifier in my bedroom as well, where I put lavender oil for better night's sleep, which I love. But in winter, please, please, please all use humidifiers. The air gets too dry. It's not good for our skin or our hair.
Yeah, humidifiers are great. And okay, so going back to your sort of rituals, your day in the life. So just to summarize, a few things that you said, obviously, is your ginger water. I know so many people use or wake up and they generally start with lemon water. Why ginger water over lemon water? Just out of interest sake.
So, various reasons. The one is, and the main one is, lemon actually eats the enamel of our teeth. And I know of various people who have actually ended up with terrible dental problems. So, I would really stay away from it if only for that reason.
Okay.
But ginger is so nurturing on our digestive system, and lemon can cause us to be a little bit unsettled. Sometimes after a mug of lemon water, people say my tummy doesn't always feel comfortable. Whereas ginger is just more nourishing, and you can grate fresh ginger in. Rather use fresh ginger than the powder, and just grate some into a mug. You can actually drink it all day, every day. I
Yeah,
love it.
definitely. I know you used to have a big flask
Always,
and
always.
it would stay warm. It was never too hot.
No.
But you would just have your ginger water, and throughout the day, we would all kind of go and fill up our little
Yes,
glass of
you
ginger water.
all used to drink ginger water. And
But it
now the best
activates
thing,
your chi, right? Or it
yes,
stimulates
and
your,
it's brilliant. And if
it
you want to
energizes
also
your body.
add a little bit of turmeric root for people with indigestion, inflammation, all sorts of things, but not a lot, just a very little bit of turmeric root to the ginger water.
Okay, amazing. And then you said always an apple. So I know from my personal experience on having gone through that crazy gut stuff that I went through, which just to give context to everyone, I had some sort of bacterial infection that was misdiagnosed. And because they didn't see the infection in my blood work, the infection spread throughout my colon and it got so severely bad that I was eventually diagnosed with Crohn's condition, which is a lifelong disease, which is incurable, apparently, but it is reversible because I did reverse it. And eventually, then through a whole journey, they then diagnosed me with chronic gastritis, which I spoke about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And we had so many people asking us about chronic gastritis. So I've come to realize that this is something that's actually quite common. I hadn't ever heard or known about it until I went through it. But it's a terrible thing to go through. And people live with it for their entire life because they don't know how to reverse and heal their gut. And so what happens is they generally go on medication just to keep the symptoms at bay. But this progressively gets worse because chronic gastritis is really a stripped gut lining, and everything that you eat will flare it up. It will cause inflammation in the body, autoimmune conditions, and a whole world of things happen thereafter. So long story short, when I had that, me and my mom came together and we decided to put our own protocol together to heal my Crohn's condition and my gastritis, which we reversed. I've done the scopes and everything is perfectly normal now. No signs of it. But I must say that one of the things that I incorporated from your Ayurvedic rituals and practices was the warm apples, the stewed apples in the morning, which was so easy on my digestion. And it really helped me regulate my bowel movements. And then, of course, with our pre and probiotics, which again helped me recalibrate that whole gut lining and repair that gut lining long term. So I love that that's kind of a staple that you recommend from an Ayurvedic practitioner because I mean, who does not have gut issues? Let's be honest. It's so prevalent in everyone's lives. So what I'm understanding from your staples is kind of how you set your morning ritual and your morning tone really sets you up for a lifetime of health.
Mm, it really does. And please don't Google what to eat for stomach disorders because I don't know, this is just by the side. But when we were at the
Dr.
hospital,
Google is not going to give you the answers you want. It always gives you the worst things that could possibly be going
oh,
on.
Kay and I were, when she was in hospital, and we were both so terribly worried. It was really, really, really bad. And obviously, we were already discussing what she should eat when she gets out of hospital, what she was going to do. And we were like brainstorming. And then the doctor came in, and I said to the doctor, just for interest's sake, what should my daughter eat when she gets out of hospital? Because I thought any good advice will be helpful at this stage. And the doctor said to me, just Google it.
Oh, well, no, actually worse. I mean, I was actually bleeding at that point. That's how bad it was. And obviously, my sugar levels and my blood pressure had dropped so badly. And all of this was gut related. And she told me to go, that she recommends I go and get Coca-Cola to get
Oh,
my
yeah.
sugar levels up. I was like, do you have any idea what will happen to me if I drink a Coca-Cola right now? Like at that point, I literally couldn't even look at a Coca-Cola.
At least
Never
it
mind
turned
drink one.
a sad situation into a good laugh
Oh
because
no,
five
I was
people when we said
mortified.
just Google what to eat when you leave here, Kay and I just packed up laughing. It was just like I thought she was joking.
No, I was quite scared. But I think that's also such a testament to, there is a time and place for the Western world. And I think that it's so great to have access to that Western medicine and insights and data and being able to tap into those resources. But just to be fully aware of what the difference is between Western medicine and traditional Eastern medicine is that traditional Eastern medicine is really the study of food as medicine and looking at your life in terms of what you're consuming, what you eat, and the benefits of your nutrition, and then alongside, obviously, mind, body, and soul. Whereas the Western medicine world do not study one day of nutrition. So the Western medicine world studies medicine. And I think it's just really important to understand those dynamics. They can work hand in hand, and there's a time and place for both of them. But I do think that, if you can heal yourself through food, it should always be your first line defense, is looking at your lifestyle. How do you improve your what you're putting into your body first and foremost? Because that is most likely going to heal you at the root cause. And then how do you reflect that into your life and your outside world by bringing in these beautiful practices and rituals that you've mentioned, I think it's such a long-term health strategy for yourself rather than medicating, which comes with a lot of side effects. And again, depending on, the time and place of what you're doing, there is a place for it. But I just think it's so important, even if you do go on medication, to still know what you're putting into your body, why, and how it helps, and to create lifestyle rituals and practices for yourself.
And what I love about Ayurvedic care is that it actually can go hand in hand with Western medicine. And there
Mm,
are times where people really do have hormonal problems and they do need to go on some kind of medication. And but by doing natural things on the side, it's going to enhance your healing so much more.
absolutely.
I was never one to give my kids antibiotics. I think Kia had her first antibiotics when she had a bike accident and cut her leg
I
open
didn't
really
have
bad.
antibiotics for that actually.
But
Um,
didn't she
First time I
obviously
had antibiotics, I think was when I actually had an operation on my finger, I think,
oh
or
yeah,
tonsillitis. I can't remember. No,
yeah.
I think I had an operation on my finger for something. I
Yes,
slammed the
yes,
door
you
and then
slammed it in the door. And I was
avoided
the
an
first
infection.
one when the doctor said go on to antibiotics, say yes, because you could get a bacterial infection. So I was very pro
Yeah.
going on to antibiotics. But in my kids' lives, I don't think most of my four kids have had more than 2 or 3 courses of antibiotics in their entire lives, to be honest with you, even if
I
that
think I can
amount.
definitely count 3 times that I've had it.
Yeah.
And that's
But
also where a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, I know I've got so many friends that live on antibiotics, but what happens is it strips your entire microbiome. And what happens when you have a stripped microbiome is that you've got no immunity. So you will just continue to get sick. Whereas if you build your antibodies and you treat yourself naturally and you try avoid the antibiotic route, you are really able to build up the resilience. And that's actually why we never got sick. So it was kind of the more you take antibiotics, the more sick you're going to get, the more you're going to need them. The less you take them, the less sick you get. It means you won't ever need them anyways. So we never really got sick.
well, one of our best friends was a doctor across the road from us. He was one of our best friends. And I used to convince him because he suffered with MS, what ME, when you get exhausted, you're permanently exhausted.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I used to try and convince him to take natural stuff, and he was very anti it. And I said, but look at my kids, they're so healthy. And he used to go, that's just because you got good genes.
We're
And I
lucky.
go, no, because I'm actually treating them naturally.
Yes.
And then
And
it,
also, without even treating us, essentially, it was just because in our house we never had any, I don't know, toxins or bad things that we accessed. It was just, without knowing that we were being treated naturally, we were just treating ourselves naturally.
and also no sugar. I think no sugar at all ages and no refined starches is so vital. I know that we hear this all the time, but don't estimate the damage of sugar and refined starches. So I think we need to be very careful of that with ourselves and our children. And by not having it in the house, you just don't eat it. It's just so much easier.
Absolutely. So I want to go back to some of the rituals. So you then mentioned after some of the nutritional things that you start with in the day, your ginger water and then your stewed apples. This is such a beautiful way. It sounds like everything that you kind of do looks at how you can eliminate in the morning, right? So just getting rid of any toxins and it kind of creates a clean slate for what's to come next. Maybe you can chat a bit more about those rituals. I know from, again, just growing up in the household with you and our siblings, these things were so normal, just the dry brushing, the abhyanga massage, which I also think is really beautiful because not only is it healing and hydrating to do the abhyanga with the sesame oil, but it's also a connection with self,
Mm.
to take
Dry
these
brushing is
moments.
a great one as well. I didn't mention dry brushing, but anyone that is fiery or very pizza predominant, dry body brushing is fantastic because it actually cools your body down. And so I would highly recommend dry body brushing and also good ritual to do in summer. It's
Hmm.
great to do both dry body brushing and then the oil abhyanga, but obviously that takes time. So maybe a Sunday treat would be a really good one. But if you're only going to dry brush, it's also really, really good to stimulate our hormonal systems and balance them. So spend a lot of time on your tummy, not hard, but soft, because every time you dry body brush, you're actually eliminating toxins and balancing your body. So spend
We
a lot
might
of
need to share some sort of ritual booklet where people can actually see how you do these techniques.
mm,
Because all of this is so accessible. It's just about knowing how to, it's the dry brushing is the lymph drainage,
mm,
where to pull it from, the tongue scraping. As you say, you can use a teaspoon or tablespoon. Sesame oil is so accessible. Anyone can get sesame oil. And just that self massage, again, just understanding where and how. I think it's also really good for lymph flow and stimulation, as well as like, helping with cellulite or just anything really. Again, the hydration aspect for me in winter, I love it.
and also on the emotional level. So don't forget that most of us are not really in love with our bodies, sadly, in the Western world, most women. And so we have to learn to love our bodies the way they are. And self love is caring for ourselves. So if we actually give ourselves a self massage or we give ourselves a body brush, we actually really start appreciating the good health and what our body does for us. So emotionally and mentally, it's also a really, really good healing ritual to do because you're actually getting in touch with your own body. And I think we've lost that a lot in our Western world, is just not loving our bodies. And we can't really love other bodies unless we love our own first.
Always starts with us first.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is so amazing. So we've really gone through quite a morning regime in terms of how to eliminate and start the day. I would love to maybe touch on what would you say is a good nighttime regime? Is there anything that anyone can help do or help with sleep and calming? Is there any practices you can suggest there from Ayurveda?
There's a lot that I would suggest. I would first of all suggest that try and eat your dinner before 7 p.m. because our digestive phase, our elimination phase in the morning, our digestion phase is from approximately 12 midday to about 8 at night. So we want to have put all our foods in our body to digest before we go into our evening sleep, because then the assimilation happens from about 8 p.m. at night. Our body starts taking everything, all the good things it needs, and starts preparing itself to eliminate what it no longer serves it. So digestion is very important, and it's really important, and that is why they say eat early, so that we can digest our food before we go to bed. Gives you a better night's sleep, first of all. Secondly, I generally try and avoid mixing my starches and proteins together because I do have a very sensitive gut, and I find that if my meals are too complicated, I do get bloated and I do feel uncomfortable and I don't eliminate as well as I should. So I try and keep my starches to my lunchtime meal, or in summer I'd have like a nice baked potato or a beautiful vegetable soup. There's so many things you can do. And then my evening dinners would be focused more on my protein. I'm not a big meat eater. I used to be vegetarian. I'm not anymore for health
I
reasons.
used to be vegetarian and I love meat now.
Yeah, Kay was also
I want
vegetarian.
a steak, steak, steak. Must
Yeah.
be the pregnancy.
So I was vegetarian, and I think it's also just a word of caution actually to ladies out there, is that I had been anemic prior to being vegetarian. And I was not well. I wasn't sick, but I wasn't 100% for the 7 years that I was vegetarian. And the minute I started bringing meat back into my diet in small portions, my health improved. And I sort of really believed that the red meat was my greatest source of iron because I did have iron supplements, but they didn't work
Well,
as well.
again, food is medicine, right? And I think so many people that contact us at Kiko actually say, so something that I hear quite often is, um, I'm struggling with XYZ, but yet I'm doing everything right and I'm being so healthy, and I just don't know what to do. And I will ask them, what are you doing that is so healthy, just out of interest sake? Where are we starting with this? And they would say they're vegetarian. Uh, Vegetarian doesn't mean health. There's so many different choices in terms of how people eat, and personally, I don't necessarily have a strong opinion on how someone should choose how to eat. But I can definitely say that vegetarian as or vegan as a concept is not necessarily health. You could be cutting out meat, dairy, eggs, but you could be consuming a lot of processed food, seed oils, sugar, and all kinds of inflammatory things that are actually not really good for you. So, personally, what I think is no matter what avenue you choose to go down, the best resource of food is just going to be the one that's closest to its natural form. So, if it's fruit, veg, or meat, or milk, or eggs, whatever it is, going as close to its source as possible. And that is just organic, fresh, whole food. That is the key.
I
And
have,
then you
I've,
can choose out of that what you prefer to consume or not.
I absolutely agree with you. Fresh food is the 80% of each meal should be made up of fresh living fruit and vegetables. But with that said and done, I do have another word of warning for evening, and that is don't eat fruit after your dinner. Because I have a lot of people, just as Kay says, that say, I'm bloated all night, I don't sleep well, and I'm eating so healthily, and I ask them what they eat at night, and most of the time they're eating fruit after their dinner. So I need to explain why. Your dinner takes a lot longer to digest. It's a heavier meal, okay? Fruit digests extremely quickly, so it should really only be eaten on an empty stomach. And what happens is the fruit sits on top of your other meal, it ferments, and it's like beer. It starts bloating you, it starts bubbling up in your tummy. So you wonder why you're eating this healthy, healthy fruit and you're feeling such discomfort and you're not sleeping well. So don't eat fruit after meals, please. It can create a lot of discomfort and a lot of bloating. And then another question I get a lot of, Care, is sweet tooth after dinner. So
Yeah, and I
do
can definitely say I am one
not,
of those people. So
yeah,
any options for sweet tooth,
yeah,
especially being pregnant. Right now, all I want to eat is like I go savory and then I feel like something sweet and then I just crave something savory again and then I crave something sweet and I just keep going in circles.
yeah.
So I just need as
Oh,
many healthy options and alternatives as possible.
so they are. So full cream yogurt, either from a health shop or from a farm, even better. But if you can't get Greek full cream yogurt, please. I don't have this double cream or fat free or any of the other ones. And you can either have it or honey with honey, or my base is because I have the sweetest tooth, is I get brown coconut sugar and I melt it. I just put it on top of my yogurt and it melts. And it's like a caramel on top of my yogurt. And immediately my sweet tooth is gone. And if I really have a sweet tooth and I have to have a chocolate or a sweet, I actually have a teaspoon of my coconut sugar, just like that.
I also really like it on yogurt. It's got a little bit of a crunch, sweet. Makes it, yeah, it's such a good substitute.
It's
I do like the honey too, though. I like honey with yogurt too.
so a great, and also it's not a refined sugar, so you can have it. It's not going to
Mm,
upset your tummy. And then
absolutely.
going into a few more evening rituals, a few things that I definitely would do is chamomile tea. We always, in fact, we used to take turns to make herbal teas, Care, at
I
night.
know. Of course.
Everybody had to have a turn.
Of course. We'd make it in a big pot.
Yeah.
Our
So
chamomile herbs. We'd let it seep and then bring a little bit of honey for anyone that wants a bit of a sweetness to it. And it's such a beautiful, calming herb. I love chamomile. It's so pretty too. The chamomile flower is so pretty.
it's also a very womanly herb. So think of the flowers. These are all womanly herbs. They're all healing to us. So chamomile tea I love at night, and it definitely does help with calming the nervous system and sleeping. For people that work really hard, whose minds are overstimulated, I would, before you go to bed, just take 5 to 10 minutes and just write, but don't write a journal, write to throw it away so that you get rid
Just
of
to
the,
put it aside.
yeah, tear it up, throw it away, but get rid of it so it's not on your mind all night. Don't write a to-do list, please. That's the worst thing to do. And that's another thing. That what I also love is rubbing the soles of your feet with sesame oil, because all your nerve endings are in the bottom of your foot. So if you only rub the soles of your feet, you're going to calm down your entire nervous system. And if you do wake up at night, you wake up in a calmer state. So even if you're not sleeping, but your body's calm, you will be more rested in the morning. So those are really nice
Maybe
things.
we can put a little toolkit together for everyone after this chat because these are such beautiful, simple things that everyone can access. I mean, as you said, the sesame oil. So if you have the sesame oil, you can use it both the morning and the night ritual. And maybe we can write a little list to send out to everyone after this. And yeah, I think also just working with herbs, it doesn't always have to be an overwhelming approach to how you incorporate beautiful healing herbs into your regime. It can be just, or healing foods. Having a variety of beautiful teas that you can seep and just taking time to reconnect with yourself through the different oils. Really thinking about the type of food that you're consuming and how that is good for your body. All these things are such a beautiful way of returning back to yourself, that self connection and mindfulness around, your body, your health. And I think it's just beautiful to reconnect in this really busy, crazy, loud world.
I agree. I agree. So I think there were some specific questions that people wanted to ask,
Yes,
weren't there?
so I actually have so many questions, and I know that we could chat for hours and hours, and we could always do another webinar. Um, but what I would also like everyone to know is that with the consultations, I would love to put a link out after this webinar where if anyone wants to book a consultation with you, will actually do some complimentary consultations where we will cover the costs of some women that really want to have that guidance. And then they can also chat to you further that way. So let's dive into some questions from our community because we've got a lot. But I think it'll be nice to cover just a couple of them. Um, everyone is so um, just committed to wanting to improve their health. And I'm going to start with a few here. So, something that's come up a lot, and I think that this is a really good topic for you to answer just because you're your own advocate for this, is a lot of women are asking menopause and perimenopause questions. And they are struggling with symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, obviously the hair loss that we spoke about, mood swings, loss of libido, etc. Is there anything that you can suggest in terms of just from your professional view?
I think the first thing I can suggest is start preparing yourself for menopause from probably your early 40s. Just start being more aware that you could go through perimenopause sometime maybe mid 40s to late 40s. I did. And the one thing that I took was ashwagandha, which I battled to get. It's the most incredible herb and for all ages actually, but it's now in Kiko, which I love. But in my day, I sound ancient. I actually battled to get ashwagandha, and it's really the Ayurvedic go-to herb. So that's a great herb, and it balances your system, so it helps you with going through an easier menopause. The second thing that I would suggest is embrace menopause, ladies. First of all, no more periods and your life changes, but it doesn't change for the worst. And menopause is not an illness. And I think what happens is I have a lot of people who think they're in menopause or they think they're in perimenopause because they're experiencing symptoms, but they're actually not. They're just starting to imagine that they're getting night sweats or that they're suffering from more anxiety or more depression or more things like that. So I would say be aware of your mind, body, and soul. Do a lot of grounding things. A very good thing for menopausal or perimenopausal woman is walking barefoot. Really grounding.
Beautiful
There's
ritual we didn't actually touch on, but yeah, grounding ritual, best.
so nice. And you get
Also,
so
something me and you have done our whole lives, and it's coming back. The grounding ritual, earthing, forest bathing, sunlight, first thing in the morning. All these things are becoming quite popular. And I remember growing up, and people just thought I was this weirdo. Like, why am I doing these weird things? Walking around barefoot. I mean, did I even own shoes? For how long?
no, no. I think you had one pair at a time, which you normally left
I think
somewhere.
we,
And
we got kicked out of a few airports because none of
and in
us had shoes
America,
on.
we weren't allowed into shops because none of my kids had shoes on. So barefoot, I still walk barefoot all the time. But if you walk barefoot in nature, whether it's on the beach or just on your lawn, wherever, we get so many minerals off the earth, natural
Like a
minerals come.
natural acupuncture, what is it?
Yes,
The foot
yes,
one, reflexology.
yes. Also so good. And then, as Care mentioned, sunlight, please, vitamin D. Vitamin D, especially for perimenopausal and menopausal women, it can drop. Sunlight is the best thing to absorb vitamin D. And so really, I know we don't want to burn. We don't want to burn and we don't want to have skin damage. But honestly, a little bit of sunlight every day is so good for us. So just
For first morning lights, while it's still gentle, open your eyes, blink in the sun for a few minutes. It actually helps you absorb vitamin D. And it doesn't have to be sitting there and baking. It can just be a few minutes.
And also, it's a great chance for the people that aren't exercising. Do a 10-minute walk. A 10-minute walk is very
Absolutely.
useful. Or do some deep breathing through your nose. Calm your nervous system down. Begin your day with relaxation while you're getting your vitamin D. So use it as a beautiful ritual to get your vitamin D, because it is important for all women, but especially perimenopausal and menopausal women and post.
I think perimenopause is almost the most confusing phase because there's so little research out there and so little support. And women are going through this transition where there's a lot of uncertainty and question marks. And I think the menopausal phase is more certainty because a woman knows for sure, okay, I'm in menopause, missed my period for over a year, typical symptoms, it's quite clear, but the perimenopause is actually very uncertain. Nonetheless, just to touch on some of those herbs that you spoke about, that is a lot of where Kiko menopause balance was formulated from, was from ancient traditional Ayurvedic herbs, which are scientifically proven as well clinically studied to balance these menopausal symptoms. And we have obviously used that in combination with some traditional Chinese medicine, as well as vitamins and other minerals. So there is a scientific and modern day approach to how we formulated it, but we really tried to take these ancient remedies and these modalities that you have obviously been talking about now and put it into a sustainable and easy and accessible way for women to be able to access these combinations, which we wouldn't typically know how to create and make ourselves. And so we've just taken this modern day approach on basically doing a simplified and accessible version of women being able to access healing herbs and healing remedies to treat themselves naturally. And I have actually noticed that a lot of women have tried this before HRT and haven't needed to go on HRT, or have even tried it alongside HRT and have found more benefits and have managed to go off HRT. So it's really nice to use in combination. And there are some functional doctors that are very pro natural remedies, and they do guide a lot of women on this journey of trying the natural route, even if it means with the additional support of HRT.
I think we must also remember that we actually are born to go through menopause. Just like
Absolutely. The same like periods and
you know,
menstrual phase. It's
childbirth,
life.
uh, pregnancy. We born to naturally go through this. So I'd still battle to understand the reason as to why we should be put on medication for something that our bodies go through naturally.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It's a natural transition in life. And actually, sorry, just to jump in there, one more thing I forgot, because I loved what you said earlier, is that menopause is not an illness or a disease, it's a natural transition. There's a beautiful saying in the traditional Chinese medicine that your menopausal phase is your second spring.
mm,
And
yeah,
it actually really is. It's the time of your life where your body is not trying to work to reproduce or to provide in anything other than for itself. The first time in your life you get to live and be entirely for yourself. When you're menstruating to prepare for conception, basically. So your body's doing so much work for that perfect egg. When you're going through menopause, you are going through a second spring, which everything is about just you being able to feel more liberated.
I love that. I love that. And we
Yeah.
should really celebrate it and enjoy it. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's get on to another question here. So we've got a really good question. Vaginal pH balance. What would you recommend for the ladies that struggle with vaginal pH balance? And this is actually such a common thing that women struggle with. And I feel like a lot of women don't seek the right support because maybe they're shy or embarrassed to ask, or there's no real platform or place to have these types of conversations. It's not an easy conversation for women to have. So, what would you say in terms of vaginal pH
Yes,
balance?
well, I think first of all, go back to your gut health and make sure that your pH in your gut is correct. Because obviously, if your gut health is the pH is out, it's going to affect every single pH in your body. So, very important thing to remember. Secondly, if you did your Abhyanga and you did your oil massage, you do not need soap. Okay, it's actually eliminating all the toxins. You don't need soap. But us in the Western world tend to not really believe that because we've been so conditioned to use soap, especially in our private parts. Please use a natural soap. Make sure that it's completely natural with no preservatives, no aromas, nothing. It has to be natural because that is the number one thing that unfortunately upsets the pH in our vaginas. And my
Firstly, vaginas are actually a self-cleansing mechanism.
they are.
So the second we use chemicals in our topical products, we're just completely stripping the pH,
Mm.
which is why it becomes so dysregulated.
I mean, another thing I would recommend, which I know people don't really like, is where possible, use pads instead of tampons. At night, rather sleep with a pad than a tampon,
Or
because
in
obviously
general, tampons have bleach in them, synthetic plastics, which disrupt the biome in your vagina. And also, a clean vagina is not the outside in, it's the inside out. It's the condition of your vagina inside. And that is really where your pH should be balanced and harmonized and taken care of. You know, washing it does not mean a clean vagina, it's about the integrity inside.
and if you are menstruating, it means that your blood is eliminating out of your body. It's not sitting there overnight, creating havoc inside your vagina. I know it's a very intimate conversation. Sorry, ladies. It's only ladies here. But
No, these conversations are good. We should be normalizing them. These are things
yeah.
that we should all be having conversations about because it's so natural and it's really beautiful to know how to take care of our intimate parts. And it's something that we should be taught about from a young age, from little girls. We should be taught about what to use or what not to use and the integrity of our private parts. And I think that it's a really good conversation to have.
My gran, she had 11 grandchildren, but there was one thing she drummed into all us girls was that we had to use natural soap to wash our privates with. And that was from a little young girl. It was so drummed into my head. And the second thing was never to use an antiperspirant deodorant. So,
Yeah, absolutely. The aluminium and heavy metals and the synthetic fragrances. And it's all these things that we do every single day of our lives that contain all these chemicals. It's from the fluoride that we use in our toothpaste to the aluminium and the heavy metals in our deodorant that we use every single day to the washes that we use in the shower, the soap. And it's actually looking at what are the things we use every single day and what are the ingredients in there. It's really important to know that.
I mean, it's so simple, but think of an antiperspirant. Do you know how much toxins need to come out of our underarms? And an antiperspirant is keeping that all inside our body. It's staying inside our body. It goes back into our organs. We need to be aware of enabling our bodies to clean themselves out naturally.
Absolutely. So I see that we have already finished our chat over here, and it's been a whole hour, and I still have a million questions for you, but maybe we can do one more question. And then what we can always do is we can still answer some questions to our community if they want to maybe book a consultation. We'll cover that. And then, or we'll cover a handful of women that want to apply for that.
They will be on WhatsApp, okay? The consultations are on WhatsApp, so it doesn't matter where they are.
And then we will also, yeah, we can always reach out in other ways to try answer more questions for our community. Maybe I can do a Q&A with you afterwards and we can share it. But I think let's do one more question over here. Let's go for, I know there's a lot of questions that come up around endometriosis and PCOS, so maybe, or infertility. So maybe you can choose one to chat about, but maybe we chat about yeah, maybe you choose.
Okay, yeah. Endometriosis and PCOS are huge conversations just to be had on their own, that we could actually just spend an hour on dealing with naturally. I will touch a little bit on infertility because it's something that I did experience myself. I battled to have children for 4 years. And then Care is my firstborn. And between her and my fourth child, there was actually only 5 years. They were born in exactly 6 years, the four children. So they were like little miracles after battling and battling and battling. But with that said and done, there was a lot that I did do. I was very focused on trying to keep my emotional health good and positive because I realized that it was so easy to just go down the drain of negativity. And all I could notice was that the entire world had children or was pregnant, and I was the only one in the whole world that wasn't. That's all you see. And so I had to really focus a lot on my emotions and my mind, and I had to do a lot of meditation, and I had to really dive into myself. I also had to give my body self love instead of punishing it because I think our natural instinct is to go, well, bugger being healthy, bugger being this. And I thought I'm going to do the exact opposite and I'm going to really nurture myself, eat healthily, do what I can to improve my health rather than be my own worst enemy, which was only going to make it worse. The one thing that I really swear by is I went for reflexology and I went to this wonderful, wonderful lady who was much older than me. I don't even know if she's still around. And I went religiously weekly for reflexology. And if you can't go for reflexology, you can do your own reflexology at home. You can look at all your points. Your mama points would come up in Ayurveda. They're all over our bodies. But if you could just get your foot or your hand and you start massaging where those points are, it works unbelievably. It's really, really good.
Basically, those points would be your pressure points
Yes,
that
your pressure.
activate and stimulate your chi.
Yes, and your feminine organs. So I would definitely do that. I did say in the beginning that yoga and Ayurveda went hand in hand. So I would suggest after sex doing a headstand or a shoulder stand.
You did say that you did headstands for all of us,
I did a lot of headstands, just saying.
but also just for general health, you've always done your headstands, headstands and trampoline jumps.
Inverted postures are the best things for our internal organs and our skin and our hair. They are so good, and our lymphatic system. So even if you have to lie with your legs up the wall for 5 minutes every day, it is so good for your lymphatic system. It really, really helps balance your hormonal system by just having your legs elevated. But if you do yoga, then I would suggest doing a shoulder stand. I love a shoulder stand a day or any inverted posture. I think it's really, really good for our internal womanly organs.
Amazing. Just to go back onto that fertility, I think also having gone through my fertility journey, which is quite similar to yours, the miscarriages and unfortunate ectopic, but now also being able to be in a place where I can celebrate my beautiful miracle that's about to arrive. I do agree. I think just mindset and keeping your mental hygiene in a good place is really important. And again, the healing herbs for your reproductive system, which you can find in the hormone balance, and nourishing your body with the right food and movement. Movement doesn't have to be intense. It can be daily walks, stretching, yoga, and then self-care rituals, and just, yeah, there's so much you can do for it. It's actually an area that we are going to be unfolding more and more of over the next few months because I'm so passionate about it now and having gone through it, and you having gone through it, and now me understanding the reality of the fertility struggles that couples go through. It's really a big thing that Kiko wants to start focusing on. So I'm excited to bring you into more conversations once we get there. But for now, I think this has been such an amazing chat.